Hello. Hi. Okay, so I'm working on my Pajero. Delicas will have the same thing. Your gauge display with your thermometer, compass, altimeter, and inclinometer. Most people get rid of their inclinometer because they see it bouncing around like crazy because all the fluid has drained out of it. I can see the appeal of getting rid of one. They're cool for those of you who want to keep one. This is how to do it. Basically, you can't figure how to undo a few screws and pull your gauge manifold or your gauge display apart to this extent, then you probably shouldn't work on your vehicle at all. If you do know how to use a screwdriver, get to this point. Once you get to that point, you will have your inclinometer removed. There's your inclinometer. Now, last year I took it out. I drilled a hole in the top, right there. Drilled a hole in the top, and I started to fill, not realizing that the back of it has a bit of a bellows. This is a very thin plastic. It flexes in and out with expansion and contraction due to temperature changes. So I filled mine. I sealed around here with some glue of sort. And yeah, it worked great for about a year until winter and summer. Expansion, contraction, something cracked, I leaked. I leaked only about that much, which tells me that the leak was somewhere up high. So I know that this is going to work. I haven't tested it yet, but I can tell you right now it's going to work. The fluid that you're supposed to fill it with is glycerin. You can get it for about $4 at any pharmacy, but it's extremely thick. You see, that's like honey. So bouncing around, this thing kind of goes, oh yeah, I'm going to respond, and it takes forever. So really the thing just kind of sits there completely still. Without fluid, it jiggles around like crazy, as I'm sure you've seen. So I've just done a bench test. I have taken, this has only been in the freezer for an hour, but I have taken water, frozen solid. That's straight 100% H2O. You don't want to fill up your gauge with that, because everybody knows what happens when a beer freezes. I have taken straight glycerin. Still fluid, but extremely molassesy. It has thickened right up as the temperature has dropped. It's probably, yeah, it's like the consistency of honey, which in that gauge won't really do you. And it doesn't give you, even in good temperature, the response that you want from when your vehicle moves around. But I did just take 3 parts glycerin, 1 part water. Perfect viscosity, still quite fluid at a cold temperature. This has been in there as long as the other ones, not even close to freezing, not crystallizing at all, still fluid enough. This is probably about the consistency of glycerin at regular temperature right now, but this is in the negatives. So come summertime, it's going to be a perfect viscosity. When you're bouncing around on trails, you'll actually see it move accurately, but not over responding. So yeah, just fill up your manifold with probably about 2/3 glycerin, 1 part water. It's not an exact science, but I'm sure it will be fine. The only thing is when you first pour your water into the glycerin, it goes foggy. It looks like you just screwed up. Mix and mix and mix well, and then it turns into what you just saw. So that brings us back to this bad boy, which I will fill the rest of the way with water. That's about 2/3. I might even take a little bit of that glycerin out. That seems like a little too much. I want it pretty fluid in there. I want it almost like water, but I don't want it to freeze. Now what I'm going to do, but I ran out, is take regular, clear, everyday silicone. You want clear because the light in the back of your manifold shines through here and illuminates this inclinometer. And I'm basically just going to cover the entire friggin' thing in silicone. I'm going to coat all these connections. I'm going to coat all this plastic so that even if it cracks, it's not going to go anywhere. I'm going to cover the entire back, which I've started to do. Good thing about silicone, it's great at all temperatures and it stays flexible. So your thermal expansion and contraction, it will accommodate that without cracking. Even if the plastic underneath cracks, who cares? The silicone will hold the seal. Basically giving you a new life on your gauge, which will be pretty sweet because not too many people have a functioning inclinometer full of fluid in their vehicle these days. Yeah, that's all I got, but pretty much a common sense fix, but a very fancy and instant gratification fix.